Hello everyone, this is Mingjong. Welcome to today's video. In this video, I'm going to show you how to draw and interpret the trend lines properly and correctly. So first of all, why do we need a trend line? Basically, a trend line in an uptrend is called a demand line and also act as a support. So that means that the price actually respect the trend line. Every time it just reach the trend line, then we have some kind of the anticipation the price will bounce up from the trend line. So in opposite, if it is in a downtrend, then we just call it a supply line, and it sort of act as a resistance. And once the price just touch the supply line or the trend line in a downtrend, then we expect some kind of direction from there. So it just function as a resistance. So we always want to buy near the support and sell near the resistance in order to have an edge in trading. So that's why a trend line is quite useful in trading and is a very popular tool to use in trading as well. So if you have understood the basic on how to draw and interpret the trend line properly, you can always just apply it in any kind of time frame you like daily time frame, weekly, or even monthly, or if you like the smaller time frame like M5, M15, M30, M1, it's all applicable. And if you want to trade stocks, forex, futures, Bitcoin or bonds, and it's all applicable as well. So this is quite a handy thing to master as well. But without further ado, let's just get started here. As you can see on this chart here, we have the daily chart of the S&P 500. So first of all, we need to define our trading time frame, because if we trade on a daily chart, that means we only want to draw up some trend line on a daily chart, at most maybe H4 or even H1 to facilitate in our trading. We don't really need to worry about the smaller time frame like M15 or M5, M3 in order to clutter with our chart with a lot of the trend lines. So let's just take this as an example. If I'm a daily trader and I just want to draw some trend line, first of all, I always want to connect these first two swing high. So it's quite clear that the first swing high here, this is the second swing high. And when we define the swing point, the swing high or swing low, I always take just one big area as one point rather than, this is there are 3 points here, which one do we connect? Well, I mean, just take it as one area. This is one area, another area, this third area. So when we connect 2 points, then we can extend this line from here on, and we see how the price can react. Okay, so as we can see, we have connected first 2 points and we extend it all the way down here. And what do we see the price do here? First of all, I think we have some kind of the reaction and actually recognize or respect this downtrend line or the supply line. But the direction didn't really last and eventually just broke out. And before we going onwards, one thing that I would like to carry on here is another trend line here. Okay, as you can see, this is another trend line, because when we extend this first trend line and we see that the price actually move away from this trend line. So at this point, we always want to adjust the trend line. So we can adjust this trend line, or we can just simply draw a new trend line. And I start from this swing high here, and then I connect this second swing high here. So these 2 points actually allow me to connect together, and eventually I just extend this downtrend line or the supply line. And you can see how well this supply line works, because it actually fit very nicely within this trend, and S&P 500 gets sold off sharply. I can even draw a parallel line as a down channel as well, something like this. Okay, so the first lesson that I would like you to take here is, once the trend line get violated or just a move away, always adjust your trend line or just draw a new one, something like what I've shown you just now. This is the first trend line. Once it get move away, I draw the second new supply line, trend line here. And once this trend line or the supply line get violated here, as you can see, it just broke out from this downtrend line and start a new move. Then obviously we need to draw up something. Now just delete this. Now I think we can connect the swing low. This is the first swing low I connect, and this is the second swing low. Okay, as you can see, I connected the first swing low here, the second swing low, and I extend this trend line all the way until it violated. So you can see that I connect these two swing low and I extend the trend line. So this is how simple we can draw the trend line. But once we see that trend line get violated, we always need to adjust the trend line, because the chart is dynamic. So we need to be dynamic as well. We need to draw the trend line like the dynamic trend line as well. That's why the trend line will need to be adjusted as long as it get violated. So once it get violated, then what can we do? Well, there are a few ways we can do here. One way is just to adjust it like this, so that you can just connect these 2 points. Or you can actually just take this low here and connect with this. It doesn't really matter, because the objective is simply to connect as many swing low. If we're talking about uptrend, we want to join as many swing low as possible to fit in the chart. All right, I think we go into H1 so that we can have a few more example, and I think it's clearer in H1 here. So let's just pretend our trading time frame is in H1. Okay, let's just go back to the swing low here. All right, I think there's the swing low that we're talking about. So if we just look at this chart and we want to draw some trend line, and I want to join this swing low here and something like this, just pretend we are just somewhere up to this point. So we connected these two swing low, the first swing low here and the second swing low, and then we extend all the way. So what happened here? So we see that the trend line get violated. Now we need to adjust the trend line. We just move it down a bit and extend the trend line. So what now? All right, we get violated again. So this trend line get violated again, and we just need to adjust the trend line so that we can just still have this trend ongoing. And we just extend this trend line a bit. Okay, so at this point we still have a low, higher low, higher low. Okay, maybe move it a bit, something like this, higher low, high, 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 high. So what does it tell us? All right, simply this is an uptrend. We have a higher high, higher low. So we still can draw up trend line like this until this point. It just gap down and get violated now. So now we just adjust the trend line a bit. So we can adjust it from like this point. Just connect these two, because we only need 2 points to join, and then we can extend it further. But from this chart, I can tell that it probably has other ways to draw the trend line as well. So let me just show you something like this. Because you remember what I mentioned just now, the objective is to connect as many swing lows as possible so that it can just fit into our chart nicely. So of course we can just connect the lowest low here, the first low here, and then to this low here. But we only connect 2 points. So once I adjust the trend line from here, then I can just capture 1, 2, 3, and I can even capture this point as well. So if you are a perfectionist, you might want to just duplicate this line. Alright, now it fits nicely. We capture this point here, second point here, third point here, fourth point here, fifth point here, sixth point here. So we capture quite many swing lows here. So one lesson here is to always trade the trend line as a zone, or just an area rather than a single line. So this is quite similar to the support and resistance. So once we talk about a support level like 2700, so don't always stick to that physical number. Always think about it like an area, a zone. 2700 or maybe is somewhere around 2690 to 2710. Just give it some buffer, some area, and see how the price react from this zone. So this is a good example here. This is the price, and once okay, so we touch these 2 points, so this is the third point. So once it touched the trend line here, it actually just bounce up, and then once it touched this trend line here, it get bounced up again, and this is the fourth time, fifth time, it just touched the trend line, just bounce up, bouncing up. So this is how useful the trend line can be, because we can see that the price actually respect the trend line very well if you draw the trend line properly and correctly and know how to actually interpret the trend line. So from now on, what do we see here? We see a higher low here throughout. If we extend this, we see there's a violation of the trend line. But one thing that you need to take note here is that we see the high here, but we don't really have a higher high. So what's going on here? All right, so for the trend line, is just use it to analyze a trend, an uptrend or the downtrend. So we always want to see a higher high, higher low in an uptrend. In a downtrend, lower low and lower high. So now we have a situation where we do not have a higher high. So we have a high here and we have a high, but this is the same high as the previous one. So from now on, I can just tell this is just a sideway, a trading range. So whenever we have a trading range, it just switch back to typical or classical support and resistance instead of the trend line. So you can just draw a horizontal line here as a resistance, and another resistance as a support here, something like this. I actually show in a separate video regarding how to draw the support and resistance when we day trade the market. So if you are interested, just go to that video and learn how to draw the support and resistance when you day trading the futures. So just back to this trend line analysis. Since this is a trading range, we just treat it as a range and we see what's happening. Okay, now we have something different, and we see that the range get broken out, and this is our new uptrend or the fresh uptrend here. We can always just start here. Okay, so once we join these two, this first low here, this is the second low, the third low, the fourth low. After that, we have our trend line get violated here. Let's see what happened. So you probably already know what do we do when our trend line get violated. We always adjust the trend line. Okay. And once we have 2 points, what do? We always extend the line. Okay, until this point, it's still good, but unfortunately, it just get violated again. Let's just see what happened. Okay. All right. So once we get violated here, what do? We adjust the trend line. Okay. So you probably can see here, if we just join these two low, the swing low at this point plus this point, obviously we can always extend this to this line because we have two low connected, but I found that probably it's better to use this low here, and we can just join these two because you actually capture one big area here, and then this is the second point here, and if we extend this part, this line, okay, it seems like it get broken now, but quickly come back. So now we can just adjust this trend line a bit here, and we can always extend this trend line. Alright, now we have another violation. Okay, so you probably can see that how we actually draw the trend line, and we can adjust the trend line along when this trend line get violated. So if you just stick to the original trend, the original low here, you probably will end up something like this. If you join these two lines and get violated, if you adjust it from here, get violated as well. But if you adjust it from here, well, you get violated as well. So this is how you should just change this original low to the upper low, because it can actually fit more points and to capture as many swing low as possible. This is our intent, and once we broken here, we get our trend line violated, then we can always adjust the trend line like this as well. And we have 2 points, we just extend it. You can see that how fascinating sometimes the trend line can function very well, and this is the third time, and you actually respect this trend line and bouncing up. So this might just generate some kind of the trading opportunities with this trend line alone. If I know some of the traders are quite keen on just using the trend line to trade, but this is not my style. Okay, so there you go. This is how I actually draw the trend line and adjust the trend line once it get violated. But what does a trend line get violated mean? Does it mean that we have a trend change and we should go reverse the trend and go all the way back down? Obviously, it's not shown in the chart here. The price action didn't really reflect this, but I see quite a lot of the traders got misunderstood or mistaken that once a trend line get broken, then it's become very bearish and it will test the swing low, or eventually just get reversed and test lower low as well. Well, not necessary, because what we need to see is actually the character of the down move and also the supply level as well. So unless we have seen a very significant down wave or down move in conjunction with excessive supply, then we can only just judge that, all right, we probably have a bearish action here and we probably see some kind of the bearish continuation. But at least for now, I think once the trend line get broken, it just means that we would just go at a slower pace, because this is just like a gradient. You have this kind of gradient, now you switch from the steeper gradient to a less steep gradient here. So it just means that the trend is going on but at a slower pace. So this is how I'll interpret the trend, a break of trend line. So I hope you get something out from this video and know properly how to actually draw up the trend line and adjust the trend line along the way. So if you enjoyed this video, just click like and also hover to my picture above and follow me. And do remember to subscribe to my channel so that you get instant notification of my future videos. So if you have any questions, just feel free to comment below and I will just reply every single comment. Thank you very much, and I will talk to you soon. Bye bye.